Welcome to this workshop, Discover Your Purpose Through Creating Art. My name is Jake Dunn. I am your instructor, your guide on this journey. I'm so excited about this because it is a very deep and interesting topic, and I hope that you'll get a lot out of this workshop. I'm not going to lie, though. I am a little bit nervous because to me, this is such a personal workshop, and I'll be sharing a lot about my story and going into some potentially emotional territory. So, and I hope that really this is impactful for you. So, if I'm a little bit nervous, that is why, because it really means a lot to me, and I think the content and the stuff that's going to be in this workshop has potential to really help you. So, yeah. That's my goal with this, and it's a lofty topic. I mean, talk about something far-fetched. To discover your purpose through creating art in one workshop, that's crazy. Well, let me just, cut to the chase right now. Discovering your purpose is a lifelong pursuit. So in no way will this, be the magic bullet that is going to tell you exactly what to do with your life. But if you're like me, then the realization can happen in an instant. And then the beautiful thing is that you'll continue learning more about yourself as you keep creating art and continue on this journey. So I'm excited to get started. Let's get right to it. So, yes. So first things first, a little bit about me, my interests. There's a picture of me on my wedding day. And so a little bit of my interests are painting, music production, creative writing, business, entrepreneurship, marketing. And basically, if it involves engaging in the right brain and creating, then I love it. I've always been a curious person. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my story because really that's the best way that I know how to teach the content of this workshop is through story form. So I hope you'll track with me. And if I get a little bit long-winded, I apologize. Sometimes it's difficult to share your own story. So before we get to that though, I just wanted to show you some of my art, just to show you what I do create. So here's a few paintings that I've made and some of my, style in art. So a little bit more modern. I like to paint portraits. I like to paint flowers, specifically orchids really grab my attention. And then I also love to paint strong animals and high contrast environments, have a graphic look to it. And then there is actually a collaboration I did with my wife. It is a picture of us kissing in a cave in Greece that we painted together. So that was really fun. And then I love painting abstracts as well. So I have kind of a wide variety of subject matter that I like to paint, but it all kind of has a similar theme. And hopefully you can see that in the art, but we'll be talking about that a little bit later because really the goal in this workshop is to help you uncover your purpose because that translates into all the different facets of creativity. So it'll help you with communicating your story to your collectors. It'll help you with knowing what you actually want to paint and why you want to paint that. And, identifying your personal aesthetic, some of the other reasons, that you might have been drawn to here. So let's get into this. So, but why why have this workshop at all? And so, really, as I just mentioned before, the goal is to help you discover your purpose because your purpose is tied to everything that you do. And that is the truth that I've found. And if you're able to uncover your purpose a little bit more clearly, then you'll be able to live more fearlessly and more boldly and really step into your destiny as an artist. So that's the goal. That's the goal here. That's the goal with everything that we do, actually, is to help you step into your destiny as an artist. So yes, and I do just want to say this. I know a lot of people out there might feel like they don't have a unique story, or they might feel like they don't have something to say, or a unique voice that stands out from the crowd. And I just encourage you, throughout this, just don't let that is resistance talking. Don't let resistance speak in your ear or speak any sort of negativity to you during this workshop. So I hope that, you approach this with an open mind, an open heart, and, open ears. So Okay, so and yes, I do want to say, as I mentioned in the beginning, that I'm still discovering my purpose and different layers to my purpose, and that's affecting my art. In no way am I trying to say that I have arrived. I certainly have not at my young age, and we're still constantly learning. It is a lifelong journey, but thankfully we get to do that through art and creativity because it makes it way more fulfilling. So the key to discovering your purpose is really finding your superpower. And this is something, if you're a master program student and you're watching this, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say finding your superpower. I'm not talking about super strength, super speed, or anything like that. In the master program, you're taught that your superpower is your God-given, your unique, individual power that you've been given since birth. It's like your mandate, your destiny, really. And your superpower is your ability to express and complete your destiny, to fulfill your destiny. And so I'm going to be telling you the story of how I discovered my superpower. And so in hopes that it'll help you discover your own superpower, and, kind of walking through the thought process behind that and the methods that I was taught in order to discover my own superpower. So here, let's get into my story. Okay, so I was not a talented artist growing up. I never showed promise in visual arts, but I was always curious, and either annoying or befriending my teachers by asking so many questions, and constantly engaging in class so much, being super talkative and just really a curious person. My first meaningful act of creation happened when I was 12 years old. Around this time in this picture, it's a picture of me and my younger sister. And actually, interestingly, I was in a biogeochemistry class, and when I first discovered that I love creating, and I was one of those weird kids who decided to elect to take this biogeochemistry class, but it actually completely changed my life. So I was around 12 years old. And the teacher was a super free spirit. And he told us that if we finished all of the content of the class, the entire curriculum, in the first half of the year, then the second half of the year, we could do whatever we wanted. We could go on hikes. We could go on bike rides. We could just explore nature and stuff. So that's what we did. We, busted ass and we finished it in the first half of the year, all the content, all the tests and everything, the entire curriculum. And then in the second half of the year, I actually discovered a love for poetry, because we would go outside and go on hikes, and we were reading Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, just really getting into nature and exploring, and just trying to observe and report through poetry and interpret through poetry. So I discovered that poetry was, a creative avenue for myself, and that, something that I felt really passionate about. So throughout high school, I continue to explore, my writing, and continue to write more poetry, especially, concerning nature. And then as I got a little bit older, concerning, relationships and romance, and, I became a romantic teenager. And so basically that led me to applying to the University of Southern California to study creative writing, and I got accepted with a scholarship. And this was completely life-changing for me. I was a first-generation college student, or I was going to be a first-generation college student at the time, and I, no one in my family had ever been to such a prestigious school before, let alone get, a scholarship to it. And, it felt like my whole entire destiny was just laid out before me. I would go to USC, I would study creative writing, and I would get a job writing screenplays, or I would, get signed with a publisher. And then I had a little bit of a wrench thrown in the plan. When I went to go for the scholarship interview for the University of Southern California, I went on this trip, and my entire family went with me. And during the trip, right after I had got back from the scholarship interview, my mom got a phone call. And on that phone call, she found out that my brother had died. It was from the police, and he had died of a drug overdose. And this completely changed everything. My entire world was totally shook. It was massively traumatic to me, because I had spent so much time planning my life, and this is the hard part. So, I've been planning my entire life with my brother, and he was going to move out to California with me, and we were going to live this adventurous life together. And yeah, losing him was just, it was like, it's like you're driving down a road, and then all of a sudden, well, I can't even think of a good analogy right now. Okay, let's just move on a little bit, because this isn't the point of the workshop. The point of the workshop, and actually what I want to get to, okay, you know what? Let's continue with the story. So after I lost my brother, I'm just going to move past the emotional part for a minute. After I lost my brother, I decided to still go to college. And in order to stuff my emotions, I drowned all of that with partying, as a lot of people do when they experience something really traumatic. I drank all the time, but my particular vices were smoking weed all the time, and like every single day. Like, I don't think I went more than 5 hours in college without being high. Like, the longest was, to take a test and then come back. And then after that, in addition to that, I was, constantly doing other drugs too. And it was just really sad, because I was kind of I was spiraling down the same path that my brother had gone down. And, I could tell by my junior year that something dramatic really had to change. And I promise there's a point to the story, and I really hope it does apply to you. But anyways, so during my junior year, I decided that I had to make a change. Otherwise, I was, probably going to end up dead too. And so, I met with Dimitra Milan, and we went bowling. And for some reason, I decided to tell Dimitra all this stuff. I left out a little bit of the details. I didn't want to tell her how bad it was. But, I told her I was skipping class, planning on dropping out, and, just really in a bad place. And so basically, Ellie, Dimitra's mom, said that I could come join their creative compound as long as I was willing to contribute and, willing to work. And so I decided to move in with them. And here's a picture from one of the first days that I was living with them. We all went to In-N-Out. And yeah, there's Dimitra when she was younger. Let me see. Yep. There's Dimitra when she was younger. There's Dino, our current customer service representative. We got Dahlia there in the back. She would be so mad at me pointing that out. But anyways, and the beauty in joining this creative community was that I really found, and what really drew me to them was that I found a group of people who were all united behind a common mission and a common goal. And that was, creativity, essentially. I mean, the mission and the goal has really expanded since then. But I'd never been a part of something where everyone was doing something purposeful and living their best life is what it felt like. Everyone was living a life full of purpose and destiny. I mean, they had students coming from Australia, from the UK, from the Netherlands, just to be in person to take classes with them. And they would live there with them. And it was just amazing to me. I'd never seen anything like it. And so I began doing whatever I could to become involved. And one of the things that we decided would be interesting is because I had zero experience painting or drawing whatsoever, is if I tried drawing, because, I became involved with marketing and, copywriting and stuff like that, using my creative writing skills. And so I decided to experiment with creating. And this was my first ever drawing as an adult. And, I had drawn in art classes and stuff like that. But as I mentioned before, I was never the talented kid. I was never the kid who the art teacher singled out and was like, this kid's got talent, we need to foster that. I was just, the one that was goofing off in the class and not actually taking any of the assignments seriously. So here's one of my drawings, my very first drawing, I would say, as an adult. And then I took one class from the Milans, and I learned how to draw this literally 15 minutes later. So I took the class How to Draw in 15 Minutes, and just through those simple techniques, it helped me be able to create this. And so I continued creating and, gaining some skills a little bit here and there with their help. And then I decided to take the mastery program later that fall. And actually, I have a couple paintings here. This is my first painting that I ever painted. And so I was actually proud of this painting. And for those of you who've watched my vlog, this is a little bit of a repeat, but I was actually proud of this painting, and I was scared to do my second painting because I thought, man, what if it's not any better? Like, what if the class doesn't work and, I'm not able to make anything better? And so they convinced me, just try it. It's okay. Nobody has to see it if it's not better. So I made this painting as my second painting ever. And this is oils, by the way. And so I was amazed, and I discovered that, wow, you can truly, all it takes is learning the right skills, and anyone can truly learn how to paint. And I was a perfect example of that because I had no skills at all before that. After I did that painting, I decided to take the mastery program, and really this is when everything changed. I was going through a lot of different things in life at the same time. I was falling in love and, learning how to paint and really just discovering who I was. Ultimately, I had heard all these different testimonials of people with the mastery program changing their life. And so I decided to give it a shot myself. Okay, so moving on. So my skills grew. This is my day 9 of taking the mastery program, my very first portrait that I ever painted after taking the monster portrait lesson. So it's a, painting of Morgan Freeman. Started gaining more and more skills throughout the mastery program, in the oil and drawing section, and then moving into the mixed media section and the voice section. And I would say where this whole story leads to, and the whole point of me telling this is when I came to the voice section of the master program. That's when we really uncover your superpower. And that's when, we were sitting there and we were talking about superpower. And basically Ellie's created a very simple formula to discovering your superpower. And it's so beautiful because it's so simple. And the idea is that throughout your life, everyone experiences trauma. That is just a given. It's something that is universal to all humans. And whether you think that, there's obviously different levels of trauma, right? But whether you think that you had a really cushy life or you've experienced the most hardship out of anyone you've ever known, everyone has experienced trauma. And so in order to discover your superpower, all you have to do is find the thread throughout the trauma in your life. And this was really tough for me. And in the mastery program, I wasn't quite sure. Like I easily identify the trauma, but I wasn't sure how that trauma related to what my superpower was, what my purpose was ultimately in creating art and, and going through life. And so during the voice section, I was lucky enough to attend the last mastery program in person. And so during the voice section, we were sitting in a circle. We're all going through, discussing these different really hard experiences that all of us had gone through. And Ellie was helping guide us through, flipping that experience and uncovering what is it that is my unique perspective on that experience that, that the lie that I heard from those experiences that held me back from my superpower. And so if you're able to identify that right there, then you're able to flip it, and that is the truth about you. And so what I discovered is that through the trauma of losing my brother, my best friend, and through all the different hardships that I'd gone through growing up, with, parents divorcing and then my mom getting divorced again and just moving around constantly, never really having a home, and, going to more schools than I did grades, and just generally feeling powerless. So what I got out of the entire experience was that I didn't have the ability to, be in control of my situation, to affect my situation And, I was so obsessed with controlling my destiny. But what I kind of got to that was on a deeper level than that is it's not just about being powerful, because everyone wants to, experience power to some degree. And, my superpower isn't that I'm powerful, but really it's that I'm powerful in relationships. And, the thing that hurt me the most about losing my brother was that I had put so much effort into the relationship and trying to help him overcome his addiction. And, I felt like I had really failed him because I had done, several things throughout the relationship that I felt like really did not help him overcome his addiction, but if anything, made it worse. And so I took on a lot of guilt as a result of that. And the truth of the matter, and what Ellie really helped me in that moment, in that class, sitting in that circle, what she helped me realize is that it wasn't my fault, and that was a lie. That entire time that I'd been living up to that point between when my brother died and then, I had been living this lie that, it was my fault that I lost my brother. And there's several different things that this did for me. So like on the one hand, I felt a weight lift that I'd never felt, that I'd never even really known was there. I didn't know that I was carrying this guilt. I didn't know that I was, carrying this burden of loss, consciously. And so, bringing that to the light allowed it for the darkness to fade away. It allowed for the truth to be shown. And, the truth is that really throughout my life, I've been targeted in specific events. And, call it whatever you want. You call it, Satan. You could call it resistance, as Stephen Pressfield does. You could call it just the enemy or negativity or, whatever you want to call it. There is a force that tries to stop and thwart each of us out there. And it exists, and it's outside of us. And throughout my entire life, this force had been targeting me in specific ways to make me feel powerless in relationships and powerless to help other people. And, whether it was my mom and my parents' relationships, and seeing, adultery happen and seeing, just crumbling marriages, and just a total lack of, any sort of solid foundation of marriage. Or whether it's a relationship with my brother, or whether it's a relationship with my father, or the lack thereof. I felt powerless in all these situations. And so in this class, discovering my superpower, essentially what that did was it helped me develop a unique style in art, bringing this back to art, right? We're on this like super deep level, super personal level. But, the whole point of this is to help us in our lives too. You have to experience healing in order to create the art that you're destined to create. And, that's one of the reasons why I think that artists have such a hard time and artists are so targeted, I would say, is because there's such a powerful destiny for artists. And because when you create and you uncover the deepest parts within you, you're forced to reckon with darkness. You're forced to, stare that darkness in the face and shine a light on it, essentially. And so that's why I think creating art is so difficult. And so, learning my superpower in the mastery program allowed me to realize that, there's several different things, and I'm going to walk you through an exercise here in a little bit that will help you once you discover your superpower. And, hopefully you'll get a lot of value out of that and, feel like, oh man, this story was worth it. So now let's do a small little exercise. Okay. So what I want you to do is get out a, piece of paper and a pen. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to start with some subject. The, quality of line, you'll find what you're attracted to in all the different aesthetics that you can be attracted to, whether that's color, whether, that subject matter, as I said before, or it's texture. It's your superpower. If you just filter everything through that, it will help you come up with your own unique style. And so the first step with that is discovering your personal aesthetic. So what I want you to do is write down 10 subjects that you'd like to paint and be as specific as possible. And then I want you to ask yourself why. So an example of that is, I wrote down for myself, I like to paint portraits with dramatic lighting. Okay. So it's, pretty specific. I probably could be more specific. So maybe portraits, head on or staring you in the eyes with dramatic lighting, slightly tilted to the side. That's even more specific, right? But now the thing that you have to do is ask yourself why. So, and this helps you uncover the reasoning behind it. And if you know the reasoning, then you can apply that same thought and the same process to other subject matters and find more subjects that you'd like to paint as well. So the reason why I like to paint portraits with dramatic lighting is because I feel like everyone has a story that involves both light and dark. And I want to glorify the light while also recognizing that the dark times can lead us to the light. So it's not forgetting about your past, but it's including it into the painting and without necessarily glorifying it, but, really having the light be shining and the focal point of the art. And so now that I've told you that story, really, if we go back to my art, you can see that, I don't know if, is this, yeah, so actually we can just go right here. This isn't a portrait, but you can see that right here in this painting. And so how discovering your superpower directly applies in this situation is I'm able to communicate that story to my collector. And when my collector, buys this painting, that's the story that she's going to tell her friends. And, when she has this hanging up on her wall, that's the story that she'll be telling herself and reminding herself when she's living with that painting. And it gives her a reason to live with that art. And something that's more relatable. And now you don't have to necessarily have, a written out story for each of your paintings, but if you're able to communicate and vocalize the reasoning behind creating and, a little bit of a deeper meaning to your art, then it's going to help you actually, make some sales. So I want you to do this with 10 total subjects. And why 10? Because this will help you really start thinking outside the box. Like it's easy to just do 1 or 2 or even 5. But as you start to, continue to write down 10 different subjects, it'll allow you to go a little bit deeper. So write down all 10 and then ask yourself why for each of those after. And then you'll probably start to see a common thread. And the beauty in this exercise and finding your voice as an artist is you can actually work backwards to your superpower as well. So the awesome thing is that a lot of this stuff happens subconsciously. So like, for example, I was drawn to, high contrast paintings before I even knew what my superpower was in my conscious mind after or during the mastery program. So I kind of like was drawn to it, but by bringing it to the forefront of my thought, I'm now able to, dive into that much deeper and have a more intimate relationship with my art. So that's the whole point of this. We can continue with the exercise at home on your own time. The beauty is that this is recorded, so you will have 48 hours after this is over to, review any of the materials if you'd like. But I just want to give you another example before we move on. And that is, I also, another subject matter that I'd like to paint is striking flowers with bold colors or patterns like orchids specifically. And so I asked myself, why? Well, the answer is the impermanence of the flower makes it delicate and valuable, but at the same time, the boldness of its form makes it a force to be reckoned with and, makes it feel really powerful. I feel like orchids are a very powerful flower. And so, just combining those two different, subject matters, and I don't have to necessarily combine them into a painting, but just knowing that helps inform me with my decision making and, creating sources and creating more paintings. So anyways, this is one of the most powerful things that you can do, I think, to help you develop your own personal style. That's the whole purpose of uncovering your purpose in creating art, is to have a style and, to help you express yourself in your own unique story. And, because ultimately the goal is to sell your art. And I know that, coming from such a lofty topic, such as discovering your purpose through creating art, a lot of you might be thinking, well, art is so sacred, it's healing. Why would I sell it? I should keep it for myself. And the answer is that when you make art, you're not just making art for yourself, whether you consciously realize it or not. The truth is that for every painting that's created, there's a person out there who's destined to own that painting. It's like yin and yang. There's two halves that actually complete the artwork. And the artist does half of it and the collector does the other half of it. And so when you don't sell your artwork, you're actually robbing the potential collector out there of the opportunity to experience the transformation that you've poured into your artwork, that you've poured into through the process of discovering your superpower, through the process of uncovering your purpose as an artist, and you're helping that collector uncover their own purpose and experience the same healing and the same transformation that you've experienced yourself through creating the art. And not only that, so that's on, the more purposeful side, but in addition to that, once you discover your own unique style and, you really learn your own process for painting, you'll be addicted to creating art. It's actually, you're making art for art's sake when you decide to create art every day. And the only way that you can create art for every day is if you're actually making a living from doing it. So, you're actually selling out if, you go work as a bank teller and then you come back and only paint, 3 hours a week because that's how much time you have left over. In reality, if you're able to spend all of your time creating, then you're really able to express yourself and be the true artist that you're meant to be. So, I know a lot of artists struggle with the thought that they're a sellout if, they sell their artwork. But in reality, you're helping others and you're living a more fulfilling life as a result of creating every day. So that's my little soapbox on that. So, okay. So next, what happened in, discovering after just identifying your personal aesthetic, really what you have to do is develop your artistic process. And I kind of already alluded to this, but through the mastery program, I was exposed to oil painting, I was exposed to drawing, a variety of different techniques within each of these fields, not just charcoal, but, graphite drawing, mark making with different pens and, working with inks, mixed media, acrylics, collage, spray paint. And, by exposing yourself to all of these different materials and processes, you're able to learn more about your own temperament as an artist and identify what it is that you truly not just what it is. Sorry. So that's, your personal aesthetic, is the what, but in learning and creating your own artistic process, that's the how you like to create. So, there's meaning in every brushstroke that you lay down. There is an energy that comes out of you and flows through you when you're creating art. And the way that you lay down a brushstroke, can just bring a collector to tears because of the energy that's behind it. And so, having your own artistic process is really essential in order to truly fulfilling your purpose as an artist. And so I highly, highly recommend that, you go out there and you experiment with a lot of different materials, and, whatever, you've already done. A lot of artists are like, I identify as an acrylic artist. Well, I highly recommend that you go out there and you try some oils because with the right instruction, you just might find that oils are king. So, that's my thoughts on oils. But also, acrylics definitely serve their purpose and they're really amazing. I know some people I probably just riled up by saying oils are better, but I really do think that, it's a holistic creative process. And the more techniques that you can incorporate, the better the better art you'll be able to create. And the more you'll be able to express your own unique voice, and your purpose through your art. We've talked about identifying your personal aesthetic, learning the different materials and, developing your own process. Basically we've covered the why, the what, and the how to create art. So this is important, as I said before, so that you can live a life full of purpose and really live your destiny as an artist. If you are watching this right now, then I know that you are, 1, interested in creating art, and 2, seeking purpose in your life. And I just want to tell you, there's no greater purpose than you can experience than living your life constantly in creativity and creating art, and sharing that art, not just creating it for yourself, but sharing that art with others and experiencing the transformation that they feel when they buy your art and they collect it and they tell you how it's changed their lives. So yes, that is, it's awesome to make money with your art, right? It feels great. It feels validating, but truly the purpose behind it is so that you can do it every day. You can spend your time creating art and you don't have to worry about some other job. You don't have to, sell your time essentially to some employer who you don't really want to work for. You can work for yourself. You can create art. You can create a business out of your art. And we're going to show you how this year. So it's really exciting. Before you build your portfolio and, start your art business though, you're going to need to find your voice. And that's what we're talking about in this workshop. Let me know what you thought of this workshop. I know I got emotional there for a bit and I got choked up. It's a difficult topic to work through, especially when, discussing your own personal story. And, in reflecting on why I got choked up, I think one of the reasons is because, my story with my brother and losing my brother, it really got refreshed for me because I didn't mention this. I actually meant to mention this, but I actually just became a father last month. And so I'm married to one of the instructors, and it is not Ellie. I'll give you that hint. Married to her daughter, Milan, and we just had our first baby. And so I was thinking about, my superpower, and I was thinking about my brother and my child. And I don't need to go into all that. This isn't, therapy, just Jake talking to a camera. This is, a workshop for you to help discover your purpose through creating art. So thank you so much for watching this workshop. If you enjoyed it, reach out to me. My email is jake@milanart.com. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you didn't enjoy it, also reach out to me. I want to improve. I'm, just a human trying to get better. So, let me know how I could have done better too. So, I just really appreciate you for being here, for showing up, and for, being interested in discovering your purpose through creating art. I'll see you on the other side. So thank you so much.